Comedy doesn't need to be censored. We perform in front of a jury. Every night when we walk out, there's 200 people sitting there, and they're a cross-section of society. And if you say anything that's unacceptable, if you say anything that's genuinely racist or homophobic or transphobic or whatever, people won't laugh because that's horrible. And also, I'm worried about the encroaching state. The state is encroaching into comedy. We've got the Arts Council now involved in funding comedy. We're seeing some cancellations, like Roy Chubby Brown, when he was cancelled from performing at a venue in Sheffield. It was a council venue. So the council said Roy Chubby Brown doesn't reflect the values of Sheffield Council. And it's like, he's not supposed to. He's a comedian. I don't want to go and see a council meeting. I want to go and see Roy Chubby Brown. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we're overstating the threat to freedom of speech. Comedians are getting cancelled, and it's being cancelled by people, by wokists in the population. It's also being cancelled by the state, and it's very worrying.
Leo, apart from Free Speech Nation and Headliners, of which you are a marvellous star, are there any other funny shows on TV?
You know what? I mean, there's Gutfeld, but that's made in America. I mean, so much comedy is woke now. It genuinely consists, like BBC comedy generally consists of incredibly privileged, Oxbridge-educated people complaining about privilege. And it's not funny. Everybody can see. Everybody knows where everybody is on the oppression pyramid. And like woke is...
I wish this was true, because if the woke people run comedy, I should be due my own series at any moment in time. But the thing is that people are absolutely, like, you have your free speech to say what you want on stage, Leo, but people have their free speech to write a letter about it if they want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and to suggest that they're just their own self-serving agenda, that's their opinion. Well, and I think you can't defend free speech and
yes,
be like,
I can absolutely
defend and no one should write and complain about it.
Why
does
nobody?
That.
Like, there's so much woke comedy, I don't enjoy it. It's like women's football. It gets written about a lot in The Guardian, but it's terrible. Like, I don't write in and complain that Hannah Gadsby should be like cancelled.
It may not be to your taste, but clearly lots and lots of people like this stuff.
And I don't stop them. I don't stop them.
Defending Roy Chubby Brown, one of the most horrendously racist performers that I've ever had the misfortune to see clips of in my life.
Why did you watch the clips?
Because I was like, what is this about? Why is there a fuss going on? I wanted to know what people were talking about.
Why did you watch Roy Chubby Brown?
I want to be informed and educated about what is going on, because it is an influence on our society.
You watched Roy Chubby Brown because you wanted to have a bad time?
This is not really a very good faith argument, is it, Leo? I want to know.
Why did you watch Roy Chubby Brown? That's not a very good faith way to enjoy yourself.
That's a very
Isn't the point,
question.
Kate?
I don't watch. You don't see me watching Hannah Gadsby.
I can't be allowed to finish. I will have to give up on this debate. I want to know what's going on in our culture, so of course I watch clips of things that I don't necessarily think I'll like, and also because it's everywhere. You cannot avoid seeing all these people. They are figures in our culture.
You can easily avoid Roy Chubby Brown.
I haven't even finished.
Kate.
It's... like, his work is horrifically racist. I'm not even going to repeat some of the things that he says because it's absolutely disgusting. And for councils to be putting his work on is obviously the wrong choice. There are venues that persist in putting him on, and those who wish to go and see him are still free to do so. But I don't think that we should be discouraging people from complaining about that, from not wanting their local council to do that. And then in the same breath, suddenly Leo is laying into women's football. I mean, again, if it's not for you, then don't watch it.
It is terrible.
But isn't that the point of Roy Chubby Brown, Kate?
Watch it.
If Roy Chubby Brown is not for you, then don't watch it, but don't cancel the guy because he'd sold 1,000 tickets.
I'm not able to cancel anyone. The idea that I'm able to cancel
I'm going to get women's football cancelled.
Is simply mythological. I'm able to express my opinion, and those who are in a position of authority. And my point is that conversation about what is right in the right venue, if for the right audience, in the right circumstance, that conversation should be an open one that we can all contribute to.
But Kate,
no one should feel that they can't chip into that
That's
conversation.
censorious. The right comedy, the right context. The whole point is,
well, of course it
comedy is a free art form. Unless you're actually breaking the law.
You entirely
unless a comedian murders murders an audience member or libels someone, anything goes.
No,
That's
Mark, you
comedy.
agree with me that you do not want kids to get home from school and switch on the TV and see horrendously offensive comedy or
Nobody's
indeed
putting Roy Chubby Brown on CBBC.
That's the point. Right, exactly, Leo. You agree that Roy Chubby Brown is not appropriate for CBBC. So we all agree there is a line to be drawn.
Appropriate for a comedy club.
All we are talking about is where that line should be. And all I am saying is that we should all be involved in the conversation about where the line should be and that everybody is entitled to their opinion and everybody should be welcome to express it and have it taken into consideration.
Is anyone else allowed to say anything in the conversation?
And, well, Leo, after the things you've said, I think it might be better if you don't. But that's the point.
That sounds like the Chinese government's approach to...
Racism's never been acceptable.
Yes, it has.
It's never been acceptable to have
It really
homophobia.
has, and in many, many places it still is, and it's terrifying. Barely a month goes by that I don't do some gig and hear a racist joke, or indeed that I get to a venue and the promoter
Kate, who are you gigging with? Who are you gigging with that's doing racist jokes? Tell me which one of my jokes is racist then. Tell me who you're gigging with.
I said that you were a supporter of
Who was the last racist comedian? Who's the last racist comedian you gigged with?
I'm not going to sit here and name names.
I just can't believe that people are putting Kate Smurthwaite and racists on the same bill.
Oh, it happens.
I mean, even I don't get put in the same bill as racist, and apparently I'm a terrible person.
You're not supporting Roy Chubby Brown, are you?
What's going on? If I might add, though, Mark, during the war, women's football became incredibly popular because the men were all away fighting in the war. And when the war was over, the FA were very annoyed about the fact that women's football had become more popular than men's, and they banned the women's teams from playing at the men's grounds. And that ban
finally some common sense
in the 80s, and that is why the history of women's football has been to push it away from the spotlight and to discourage its popularity because of outright sexism. So the suggestion that women's football is less popular because it's not as good is utterly mythological. It's less popular because people are not familiar with the story so far because of an active campaign of sexism against women.
Which last game?
That is not very good.
That's just historical fact, Leo. That's it's not open to debate.
Well,
that's historical.
This is obviously it's gone down a kind of women's football route.
Well, it wasn't my plan, but you bring me into the studio, Mark, and I will know facts about the history of women's rights and women's
Kate,
interaction.
As I said earlier, you're a fabulous comic and a great broadcaster, and I don't want anyone censored. I don't want you censored, the brilliant Mike McLean or the fantastic Leo Kearse. That's why I invited the three of you on, because you're the best at what you do, and perhaps some of your politics are different and views on women's football. Spurs women are rubbish, by the way, but possibly better than the male team. But here's the thing, Kate. Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, Billy Connolly, John Cleese. Can we all agree that they are fantastic comedic talents?
Of course.
Are they racist?
Brilliant.
Are they homophobic? Are they sexist?
I mean, like I don't believe as individuals that they are. Have they ever appeared in sketches which, when you look at them in the modern context, might appear not entirely tasteful anymore? Yeah, of course. Many people have.
Well,
because our standards have changed.
My point,
and I'm glad to say that these days there are things that we used not to make much of a fuss about, and now we notice. I don't think it's. I don't think they would. I think they would look back and say, "Oh, that to be honest, that one doesn't really stand the test of time." I think there's things I've said on stage that don't really stand the test of time.
You're doing that politician thing. You're using the time, so I can't get to the key point, which is this, and I really want to hear your answer. Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, Billy Connolly, and John Cleese have all said they could not do the comedy they did back in the day in 2021, and surely that's bad news for everyone.
Well, I think that those brilliant talents could use their brilliant skills
for woke comedy.
That is
boring political lectures.
And in fact,
claps, not laughs.
There are also things.
Pass me the sick bag.
That we felt we couldn't talk about in the past that we now can talk about a lot more. If you go back 50, 60 years, they didn't show gay relationships on screen. Now we do, and that means we can make loads of new jokes about it. There are all sorts of wonderful shows featuring gay relationships, which, yes, several decades back, they wouldn't have put that on TV in that open way. The standards change, and that's great. It reflects our culture updating itself. And do I always agree with the way the standards change? No. Sometimes I think they drift in a frankly very awkward direction. But overall, we have to adapt to the standards that we're living under. And I think overall they are improving.
What do you think's funny about gay relationships? I don't understand.
I'm saying that there are lots of shows featuring gay relationships that have lots of great comedy in them.
Okay.
That's
well,
great.
listen, we could do two. One sentence, Leo Kearse, and then one sentence, Mike McLean. Leo.
Don't cancel stuff. There's no point. You don't need to cancel comedy. We perform in front of a jury who won't laugh, so we're constantly self-censoring.
Mike McLean, one sentence.
Let the comedian take you on that journey.
Kate Smurthwaite, one sentence.
Like, let's just have a conversation about what's the right thing in the right context, and let the brilliant comedians be brilliant in a way that is brilliant and progressive and uplifting and enlightening. And
well,
not,
all three of you have
racist.
contributed to a brilliant debate about comedy and, bizarrely, women's football. I loved every second. Over to you, folks. What's your view? Mark at gbnews.uk. I'll see you in 2. So what we're going to do, by the way, don't forget,
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate.